Hi guys.
Hey everybody, this is Kim and Conor Tracy over here at Big Red SEO. Thank you so much for being here if you're tuning live and or if you are on the replay. We appreciate you participating. So to get started, a lot of people know who we are and then a lot of people don't know who we are. We are a husband and wife team located in Omaha, Nebraska, and we are in the heartland of the United States, which is super cool. Yes, there is more than just corn in fields. We're actually known a lot for the technology that's booming over on these ways in these areas. But mainly what we're known for is the WordPress website design, SEO, as well as pay-per-click. And with running this show for quite some time, not just in the weekly recaps, but in the business in general, we have two different personas for clients. We have those business owners that are like, hey, I don't have time, but I have money. I would like to have some resources, right? And then we have our DIYers, which, believe it or not, we love both of them equally. They're two total different dynamics. But today's episode, we're actually going to chat to the DIYs specifically regarding marketing. And the reason for this is there's usually three different things that people come to us with. Either one, they don't have time to do things on their own. Two, they don't have the resources possibly to do it on their own. And or three, they don't have the money to actually get started. Like literally whenever they're launching the business and they're trying to determine where are all the funds going, where's all the marketing going, they might actually have time on their hands, but not have money in the bank to be able to invest in their marketing. And so we've been able to work with all different types and styles of businesses with that. So we wanted to dive in and provide some strategies for you if you're any one of these three personas, right? And to help you with that, we're actually going to split it off in kind of like presenting a couple client scenarios that happen. So for those that have time on their hands, but they don't necessarily have like the money and or they're not really sure about resources, where to go, you can actually do a lot of different stuff on your own. As you guys know, if you're familiar with SEO, if you're not, it stands for search engine optimization. It is like content is king, right? But here's who's queen. Queen is actually consistency, right? There's a way for you to become an industry leader in your demographic, wherever you're located, whether it's you're trying to get clients locally or you're trying to get clients nationally. You can actually become the authority leader. You can actually create frequently asked questions. You can feed content to Google. You can feed content to tech people. And we actually have one success story that we want to share where there was an individual that was in a trades business and he did not have a lot of funds. He did not necessarily have a lot of resources. As he claims himself, he likes to turn wrenches, which means he's not very tech, like he doesn't know tech in and out. However, we were able to kind of mentor and coach him. And what happened was we went through and we taught him the areas and the resources he needed to pay attention to get the most effort. And he actually is getting found not just locally for the tech manufacturer that he works for within his business. He's actually getting national exposure now too. Yep. And he's climbing in the rankings. I can't remember what he started with. It was like 14 or 24 keywords.
It was something
and
minimal.
Like he's all the way up to the 200-300 keywords by now. And granted, this takes time, right? So it comes down to consistency. But we sat down with them and it said, hey, okay, at the end of the day, how much time do you actually have to apply to yourself? He does have time, but is it 40 hours a week? No, it wasn't, guys. He's running a business. And as he said, he's actually turning wrenches, right?
He's the one doing the work. He's the one answering the phones. He's the one modifying the website. I mean, he's really doing it all. And fair play to him. He's doing well.
Yeah, he's doing really, really good. He does have some people now that answer the phones to help, right? Because I think at any point in a business, you got to determine what is kind of feeding your energy, what could actually be outsourced, what could be a resource that you could utilize that becomes a partner and extension of your team, right? And answering phones for him was one of them. He still does it. Sometimes we'll have a meeting and he has to answer the phones because somebody's on vacation or has the day off. So it's kind of cute to see him in that element as well. He's a really good salesperson. He actually probably should answer the phone more if I'm completely honest.
A lot of times the people doing the work are the ones that should be answering the phones. They're the ones with all the answers. But the one big thing that he's doing is blog content.
Yeah.
So when we talk about DIY marketing, I mean, learn some basic SEO stuff, and we've got lots of stuff on our website that we can show you and you can read. But the next part of DIY marketing is create a blog post and create posts on a regular basis. Our recommended minimum is 450 words. That's 5 paragraphs.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's 100 words.
That, by the way, he said minimum.
Yeah,
so
minimum.
those that like are like, oh my gosh, like that is a lot. That's actually the bare base. You can make them smaller. So there are some people out there that are like, hey, I don't want to put a lot of content and a lot of different stuff. Most cases, they're not actually in the SEO realm at all, and that's cool for their marketing if they want it to be short and sweet. There's actually some really successful people out there that do that. However, there is guidelines within Google, and one of them for SEO is a minimum of 450 words. And the reason for it is they know where to put you. They know what industry you're in. They know what you're talking about. They know where you have the authority. They can actually gauge within their algorithm. Are you providing value? Are you providing knowledge? Are you providing like tips and some scenarios that people can apply? What are you offering versus just trying to get the sale? Right?
And just to clarify on there, Google has a recommended minimum of 250 words.
Okay.
So, but what we can tell you 100% is that 250 is not going to do jack shit.
Right. That's
so,
good, Conor.
If you're going to do the bare minimum in anything it is that you do, you will always be the bare minimum business.
Yeah.
And that doesn't work. If you're trying to expand in from the marketing end of things, that's just not going to work.
Yeah.
So what we have found ourselves doing SEO is 450 words is what we recommend our clients to do.
Yeah.
Other places say 300 and so forth. Don't do the minimum. And if you can go above that, if you can get to 700 words, if you can get to 2,500 words.
You get 25, you're doing good.
Do it, if
good.
you can. And with the client that you're talking about, I mean, he breaks down the different things that he's doing. And he really does get a ton of content on there. He gets model numbers in there. He gets parts for the machines and so forth.
He's actually taking his own pictures now too, which, believe it or not, you get to actually customize those more than you would anything else.
And they're yours.
Yeah.
People then that want to use his images on their websites, they have to run a backlink back to him. And that's just another way of getting some more free. It's time. Time is the big thing.
Yeah.
So if you have the time to do it, then this is the way to do it. And blog posts are going to be right up there at the top of the list of things to do.
Absolutely. And so here's the deal, guys. If you are DIY and you're first starting out and you have a lot of time on your hands, content creation is one of the best strategies that you could possibly apply. A couple tips for success. It is recommended that you determine how much time you can actually apply every week to be able to do this so it stays consistent, right? Like that's the thing that winds up fracturing or breaking the rankings. Like we'll have some DIYers, they're like, yeah, gung-ho right before the busy season. And then as the busy season takes off or as they start to get busy, they actually take their foot off the gas. And what happens is they'll slowly like start to lose the rankings, not necessarily because they're not doing stuff. So how it works in the rankings is unless somebody comes along and actually ranks higher than you, or does something more than you do or improves better than what you do, that's whenever you kind of lose the rankings, right? Rarely, I should say, not never. Rarely is there a punishment in the fact of you not doing a task. Makes sense? There is actually punishment if you do things bad, which is kind of like the black hat SEO stuff, which we don't play or participate in. But if you do have time on your hands and you want to start creating content, like that's one of the best, quickest strategies. We have seen it successful over and over and over again, guys. We have tested it ourselves in our own blog. We have tested it on clients, as well as we've taught people courses to be able to know that they can do it and step in as the authority leader. And if you're a business owner, like you are the best one to create the content. Yes, you can get a freelance writer, ghost writer. We also have that on our team. However, like what I can tell you is it's different when the person that's answering the phone or converting the sale is actually writing the content.
Well, it comes from your voice.
Yeah.
And each person's voice is very different. You can, when you read an article on our website, you can tell who wrote the article. Was it Kim or was it me?
Yeah.
Who influenced that article the most. So getting that content in there is your big thing. But now that you have somebody on your website, the next step for DIY marketing, you've got people coming in, collect their email addresses.
Yeah.
Let's use those email addresses in a newsletter campaign.
Yeah.
Okay. There are different softwares out there like MailChimp and Constant Contact and places that you can send out newsletters for free, essentially. But when you're first starting out, you can do that just off of a regular email. BCC, don't CC anybody. Don't put their email addresses in the 2-line.
You're going to get cursed from Conor if you do that. Probably called out.
You'll get cursed by me and everybody else on that list. So use the BCC. If you're going to send them out by mail, do it that way. MailChimp is a great free alternative. You're able to send out the first 10,000, I think. First 10,000 emails you can send out for free. So, I mean, why not? But the reason that we're saying using that as being your next step is that you've already got the people interested in your website. So collect those email addresses and use them in that campaign. And you can go one step further, and it leads me into my next point. I don't know if you wanted to talk at all today.
I'm like, he's going rogue, guys. I have a whole agenda, and he's
I'm sure she's got a whole thing over there, but using Facebook and the social media end of things, that's really another step. Are you okay with this? Am I?
Can you guys feel me going red? I'm like, my love orders, like, you're not following the agenda.
I'm not. I should wait for you. Go ahead.
No, go on.
All right. So if you're dealing with Facebook,
you guys get to see the Kim and Conor dynamics. At least he felt it, right? He knew. He was like,
I can start to see your face, so I can feel me going red. So
he's like, I'm not gonna get dinner. I may not get lunch. There might be a whooping later.
I'm glad it's the weekend. But so using your Facebook end of things, that's your social marketing end of things. You can put things on your website like the Facebook Pixel. And this basically tracks users who come to your website. You can now remarket them directly inside of Facebook. If you put $50 into Facebook ads, for example, only targeting people who visited your website and like-minded people. So there's a part inside of Facebook called lookalike. And you can do this either from the Facebook pixels, you can do this from email addresses of people. So essentially, and your Facebook fans and things like that. But essentially, you're only marketing to those people. And with $50, that can go a really long way because you're not trying to target everybody. Let's say you've only got 20, 30 people that have come to your website. So you're only retargeting to them. That's a good thing. You're going to save money initially. So let's go ahead and get back on track. Go ahead, Kim.
So, like, guys,
before I go into my step number 5.
No, so that, guys, would actually, like, sink into the resources element. So, like, at the very beginning of the Facebook Live, we're talking about time, resources, and or money to invest, right? So, like, Facebook winds up becoming a resource for your business to be able to grow the online presence. We're always going to want all the traffic to go back to the website. And the main reason for that is that you want to grow your online presence. You also want people to stick on your page long and hard. And what I mean by that is you provide data and information. Yes, they're going to pick up the phone and they're going to call you to sign on with your service or to be able to learn more information, but you also want them to be on there long so they can actually learn what is it that you do and how do you go about it. And that actually influences the matrix of your online presence. I'm not going to go into the logistics of why or how, right? That's a totally different conversation. But content is one of the fastest ways if you have time on your hands to be able to produce. If you're actually selling a product, whether it's individually custom product and or you're selling a product that's similar that everybody else has, it's really important for you to ensure that you write your own description for the products. Believe it or not, some people will copy and paste from other places. That's classified as duplicate content. And I'll be honest, if you've got time on your hands, go ahead and invest in writing it in your own language, in your own words. And then, like last week, go through and figure out what is the keywords, what is the agenda that we want, where are you trying to get your traffic, if that makes sense. So utilizing resources can actually take your marketing to the next level. It's not just about set a website and forget about it. Like that's never going to be a good marketing strategy. At the same time, we don't recommend taking 10 things and activating them all at once. Like, talk about the fastest way to get overwhelmed. Even if you're looking to hire and outsource, we don't necessarily recommend going and outsourcing 3 different services all at the same time either, because you don't have a chance to see what's working, what was tested, how did it go about, if that makes sense. And that leads us into the area of making sure it's really important that you're organized. Are you tracking your leads? What is it you classify as a lead? Like, we we had a conversation in the last couple of weeks internally on what is it we classify as a lead? Well, we classify anybody that gets on the website and either picks up the phone or submits asking for information. We classify that as a lead, right? Now, whether it converts or whether it's a hot lead versus a cold lead or somebody that's tire kicking or wants to take action right now, we don't really pay attention to those elements. We call a lead. And then at that point, we finesse. Like our goal with the SEO process, and hopefully it's your goal as well, is to start to attract the ideal clients, those that are ready to purchase right now, those that are ready to invest right now, or want to know what the answers are for specific questions so they can jump and actually take action sooner rather than later, if that makes sense.
And one of the big tools from the DIY marketing end of things is the ability to listen to the customer, the ability to listen to that potential client.
Yep.
They're going to be asking you questions on different things, how it's made, how to use it, what the service is, so forth.
Yeah, and a lot of times it's the same questions over and over.
Okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Right.
No, I'm laughing because a lot of times it's the same. Like you guys are on a script, right? You have a thing that people ask all the time. How much is shipping? How long does it take? What materials do you make your products out of? If I was to buy this for my in-law, would she like it? What's her personality? How does she go about it? Is it gift wrapped? Is it not gift wrapped? Loveline joined us. She is eco-friendly packaging. She takes the next level of investing in really quality packaging, so it helps our earth, right? So like there's multiple different things. You guys already answer questions that you already have come to you, so why not create content and why not help that be able to get out there so more people see it? It's one of the simplest contents to create. And
this goes into my number 5 item.
Oh goodness, he's
which
totally
is,
going rogue, guys.
I really am, yeah. I know you've got notes.
My
I don't
pits
care.
are sweating.
I don't care about your notes. No, my number 5 item, and it's one that gets a lot of traffic online as a result, and that is video.
Yeah.
I know you hate video. I hate doing videos.
No, you do not. Like, don't even. Guys, does this look like a face of a guy that hates doing videos? He just went rogue on an agenda. No, it's not.
So
he loves it.
Where I classify on that. Yeah, no, go away. So where I classify on that is that I used to hate doing videos, and they're not my number one outsource. I'd much rather be sitting there just typing rather than sitting here talking and going off script, as Kim says. But
not rogue. It's rogue, not going off script.
Oh, rogue, excuse me. But using video, even if it's a 30-second, 45-second video, answer those questions. Get them out onto Facebook. Get it out onto YouTube. Cross-post that out onto Twitter or whatever other mediums you want to use.
Yeah.
But doing that is going to help with that DIY marketing end of things.
Yeah.
So,
Loveline said we're adorable. Thank you, Loveline.
Must be talking about Kim.
He might be getting dinner later tonight. I don't know. Like, we might have to work something out. Be like, hey. Okay, so to bring it back in, because what you have to say is very, very important. And this is the dynamic duo of Kim and Conor, right? As well as Big Red SEO is Conor's always going to have that technical aspect, and how do you take it further? And I'm kind of more the creative, the aerial view, and then applying it, right? So super cool that you were able to add your extra tidbits. Okay. So
I guess I'm done talking now. Go ahead.
Just for the moment, right?
Okay. All right.
Okay. So again, time, resources, and money, right? So here's the important thing. No matter which one that you've got, there's one area that has to be cleaned up, and it's you need to know who you're trying to attract and or who is your ideal client. It's less about marketing to anybody and everybody. And we actually have a lot of successful case studies of where we take businesses that are marketing to anybody that's willing to give them money, right? And they find that they wind up getting exhausted, or they find that they get depleted, or they wind up having a block in their creative muse because they don't have a specific persona, i.e. ideal client, in mind that they actually want to communicate with and articulate their services and products with, right? So it's very important for you to look at, just from a basic standpoint, okay, when you're going to invest in doing your own DIY marketing, when you're going to do it yourself, where is it that you start? Where is the beginning of the forest for you to take the first step? Because if you look at trying to attract anybody and everybody, you're going to see 10,000 trees and it's going to get super overwhelmed, right? But say that you have one product that you're or one service that you're really good at, and we always go after secret secret. Oh my gosh, I'm going to tell him. Okay.
Do you want to run that past me before?
No, I don't. Because you went rogue, now I'm going rogue.
I'm going to go hit mute so you can tell me first.
Okay, so here's a secret. I'll give you guys a truth bomb that we use, especially with me with coaching. We go after the service that people are really good at that's the highest profit. And the reason for this is there's like this combination of when they're really good at it and then they go in and they actually finesse their skill of articulating what that is, and they step in and they know that they're known for that and they know that they do it really well, less better than other people, but they just like, it makes their heart sing. It makes them want to get up and do it. If they had 100 more clients that like want this specific service, they would like have the best day of their entire life every single day. So what happens is with that specific ideal client, when they start to hone in and focus and put all of their content, the majority of their social media or their messaging, right? They start talking to different people about it. They start asking for business in different ways about it, right? What happens is all of a sudden they start making really, really good money, which makes them realize, okay, I can feel good. I can wake up and I'm inspired to be motivated, and I'm helping people. I'm helping people with my service. I'm helping people with my product, and I've got money in the bank. I've got a profit that I can apply and invest to something else, and or I could take my spouse or my friend or family or fur animal for a coffee or for a dinner. Like there's a different dynamic. So when we talk to people and we pull back the layers of the ideal client, that's whenever they don't really feel as overwhelmed doing their own marketing or doing some elements of their own marketing, because they see it as a big hairy, like the marketing's big hairy monster that they got to learn all the stuff. But then whenever we funnel it down to who is your ideal client and what's that service you absolutely love to do, and what's that service you love to do at the highest profit, they put blinders on and then they hit the ground running, right? It happens time and time and time again. And then what we do is we wind up going and finding the low-hanging fruit in the keywords in the online marketing that starts to get them ranked. So then our online presence grows and it expands. And then usually what happens is competition winds up calling and being like, I don't know what's with this website, but they just out of nowhere just skyrocketed it on the rankings and we don't know what happened. Guys, right. This conversation happens for us quite often.
Yep. and you know, you're talking about picking that one item and really targeting after that as best as you can. If you're running an e-commerce store, for example, one of the things when I work with my clients about optimizing an e-commerce website is to take those always inventoried items, so whatever you always have in stock and whatever you're making the most profit with. Take those two items. They're the first ones that you go hard with for your SEO. Redo your titles, redo your descriptions, redo all the content, add in all the extra things, the upsells, the blog content, cross-posting and so forth. Actually
ask for the business.
Ask for the
It makes a difference. Like people get fatigued whenever they go through and they're like, okay, what's the next step? What am I supposed to do? Those that just give information, people are like, I don't know. I'm on a date and who picks up the check? Nobody knows. Nobody knows.
Go in the bathroom and you just disappear, right? Isn't that how that works?
No, that's not how it works. Okay, so say that you are deciding to do your own marketing, right? So that's probably why you're here, is to learn. And you want like chunked out little things. A strategy that we've used is a 3-5-15 strategy. So what this means is you actually elect 3 tasks, mini tasks, guys. 3 mini tasks a day. You apply them 5 days within the week. And then by the time you're done, you're going to have 15 things done, if that makes sense. And you're not going to feel overwhelmed, right? You're not going to feel like you've got to do it all at once. Ideally, if you do small little bits every single day, what happens is you wind up being consistent in it and you get faster and you wind up getting better results. Then you experience the compound effect, right? Which means as you're starting to roll, you find out what's working, you hone in, you test, you pick other little mini items, and before you know it, you're rocking your content creation, you're rocking your reports, you're rocking your social media. There's multiple little things that you can be doing, but it's really important to make sure that you don't have it be multiple hours within a day, every single day of the week. What happens is they wind up experiencing burnout with that, right? It's really good at the very beginning. And then if somebody doesn't see something working, they actually give up and they throw their hands up. And that makes our heart sad, right? But we would recommend implementing and trying the 3, 5, and 15 for the next 2 weeks. Like, again, find 3 mini tasks every single day. Make sure that those tasks are less than 5 minutes or 5 minutes or less, right? Do those 5 days a week, right? And then you have 15 little tasks. I kind of got a little confused. I was like, ooh, I got a new little, maybe there's another 3, 5, and 15. I don't know.
So speaking of that, then, so you're talking about 3 mini tasks. What do you define as being a mini task?
Yeah.
Is it a 1 minute? Is it 5 minutes? Is it 30 minutes?
Yeah.
What is a
yeah,
task?
so the mini task, like what I would say, guys, is if you're going to do these mini tasks, find a way for each of them to be less than 15 minutes each, right? And what I mean by that is, like, you don't want it to be 3 hours, 2 hours to be able to do all your different stuff. But if you have to, at the end of the day, worst case scenario, take 45 minutes a day for a week, at the beginning, it might be 45 minutes each day, but then by the next week, it might be 30, and the next week, it might be 5. Again, the mini tasks might be you create an article. The next task might be that you actually look at your reporting. The next task is you create a small mini strategy for social media. Maybe you actually do a Facebook Live and it's under 5 minutes or 10 minutes, if that makes sense.
Even just posting the article or just a paragraph or whatever snippet onto Facebook or onto Twitter.
And the mini task could also be you setting up and scheduling yourself. Again, it's about the compound effect and staying consistent, if that makes sense. If you got a little confused on the 3, 5, and 15, reach out. I'll explain it a little bit better. It's like taking something kapow, and then I do it with individual clients. Pretty consistent. So if you get confused, put a comment down below. We'll explain it a little more.
Oh.
But yeah, so Katie says that she loves your shirt. He was like, "Am I okay to wear this?" Yes, babe, you are.
Yeah, because I mean it's right there.
Right.
Thanks, Katie.
If you wind up getting to the part where you have money to invest for a marketing team, right? So this is the last aspect area. You want to ensure that you're very, very organized. You also want to make sure that you are very clean and clear on who's responsible for what and what areas, right? If you can find resources that can all work together and work nicely together, that's the ideal scenario, right? We play really well with others because of that. However, you want to know that you understand what you're investing into, and you also want to know how to be able to track the matrix, how to be able to see the return of investment is happening, right? At the same time, if you're just jumping into marketing and you have money to invest, you have to give it time to actually work as well. If you invest day one and then 24 hours later, you're like, where is it all happening? You're going to be very sad in the fact that it may not actually be launched yet, right?
Yeah.
Yes, it could be launched, but you may not get the results right away.
You know, from that end of things, I mean, if you have any dollars available to do something when first starting out, the number one thing I would tell you to do is strategy. Yeah. Build a strategy first. Yeah. And then go out to the other things. So figure out what it is you're actually wanting to do.
And I love that you say that, because the strategy does help. Kim's version, if you have money, the first thing to do is contact us and we will help you build that strategy. There's actually a whole other element of, we found massive success in people coming to us for a website design at the very beginning, and then all of a sudden we build the entire strategy around that website design. Yeah, so it's the same thing, but just a little different, if that makes sense. We do have a question here. Like, it looks like, hold on, I'm trying to explain. You guys should see my screen.
You should see the screen. The screen's like this big. So you got this whole computer this big. And the little comment thing is like this.
I don't understand why it's so tiny.
What did you do?
I don't know. Hold on, guys. I'm coming. Oh. I think it was my lovely. Hold on. It's so tiny.
Here, I'll try bring it up on my screen.
No, it's fine. Lovely. She said, I have a question. E-commerce. I am on Weebly and it has limitations. Yeah, unfortunately it does. So thinking of switching to Shopify in the next few months, what things should I consider to DIY or outsource it? What things should I consider to DIY or outsource? Yeah.
So the first response I have on it is Shopify is now the number 2 e-commerce website on the web. Amazon's number 1. Shopify has now taken that number 2 spot. They are amazing with what they do, but they are a boxed product. And by that, I mean, you can't go in there and tweak code and all the things I like to do. So I don't use it.
Yeah, there is some customization, but as much as you like to play in the code and ensure that it's SEO appropriate,
right. I like to go in and get it to do things that it may not have been designed to do, but that's just how I operate. There are plugins, there are features with it. There's really neat little things in there. The people who've bought this, and it gets a little pop up that tells you that so and so just purchased this, and it's kind of an influence to other people that. Somebody else
it
purchases,
tells the
you've got to buy
engagement.
it.
Yeah.
So those are kind of cool little things. Shopify itself is the building of the theme. Maybe outsource that part. The inserting of the products, inserting all the content, things like that. Those are all things you could probably handle yourself and don't necessarily need to outsource unless it's a time constraint issue. If you're needing to get the website up and go live in 2 weeks, outsource different areas, sure. Those are things that can be assisted with.
Yeah.
But probably the theme end of things, I would probably have that left to somebody else who can build themes.
Right. And so really quickly to catch Conor up real quick, Loveline is the one that did our beautiful kitchen towels as well as my little purple pillow.
Yep.
So really quick, Loveline, something that you want to think about and consider is whether you go the DIY route or you outsource it is how much time do you have to apply it? What I can tell you is in our experience, we are able to teach a lot of people how to do things. And sometimes it comes down to, hey, I have a limited budget. I just did this with a launch of an entrepreneur. She's been in business for a while. She needed a new branding. She had a limited budget. And so what we did was we built half of the design and got her product started. And then we trained her how to do the other half of the design because she had a lot of products, right? What I would say is determine how much time that you have. And then as a creative, it might be good for you to outsource the entire thing, figure out what investment that you can make towards having somebody else do it, if that makes sense. Things that might make the cost a little bit less is if you're able to put all of the product titles, product descriptions, and images in specific files and organize those, the designers don't have to take as much time to get it done. Some designers just have a flat fee. Right. Other designers charge hourly, if that makes sense. But if you opt to outsource it, make sure it's organized as much as possible so that way it doesn't create a kink. Because a lot of times some designers will just be like, when they get outsourced, hey, just send me your existing website. What new product images do you have? Well, then it takes them time to copy and paste from your existing website, if that makes sense. And sometimes stuff gets lost in translation. So what I would say is one, start with how much time do you actually have to apply if you wanted to do it yourself. I have a lot of business owners that just have that itch to want to roll up their sleeves and design it themselves. And believe it or not, a lot of creative people are that. They just want to know how to control things and move things around. Other areas of business owners is maybe they don't have the time or they can't get consistent with it. I would say if you have a limited amount of time and you wanted to just the circle to be opened and then closed, outsourcing might be good. And then just determine and find a designer that can get it done pretty quickly. So for us, it's usually 4 to 6 weeks. We put it on a dev site. So hopefully if you outsource it, they also do the same thing. So your existing website can stay up and running, right? You can maintain it as you need. But then also, I believe you ship nationally as well as internationally, locally. So just ensure the designer knows how to do the shipping. And even if it's a Shopify, it is like a boxed product, but you still have to go in and customize some of that stuff.
And even before all of that, and I probably should have mentioned this at the very beginning.
Hopefully this is helping you.
I apologize. But write down what it is about Shopify that you like. So find out what it is, where your restrictions are in the Weebly software. Find out what the things are that you like inside of the Shopify.
Yeah.
Compare against other systems, Magento, WordPress, all these other guys that are out there. It could just be the ease of use or the fact that it's just one fee. You'll pay that monthly over here. I can't remember if Shopify charges based on the number of products you have, or if they take a percentage of the sale. So those are all little things to look at and then determine, is this the right platform? Is this a different angle? Could an Amazon store be the way to go instead? I mean, that's also an option, or, something in addition to.
So, I'm super excited that you're considering getting out of Weebly, Loveline. Love it, love it, love it. If you consider WordPress, give us a shout out. We would love to build you. But if you do Shopify, heard amazing things. It's been coming around quite often. And so it's a good tool. It's a good resource. We play in WordPress, but we can still provide some guidance if you need it. So we actually have another question here from Katie. It says, if you have a URL website from 20 years ago, are you better to remodel it or start over with a brand new one?
Are you doing the same thing?
She said, yeah, and then she has a secondary question. Maybe it's tied to the first. If starting a new branding / company, but the same industry. So I think what she's trying to ask is if she's got a domain name that's 20 years old and then she's rebranding the entire company, is it better to stay within that domain or is it better to establish a new domain? So the first question we would have, Katie, if you're able to answer is the company name staying the same?
And rather than waiting for the 30 seconds for the pause,
did you see? He gets awkward with silence.
I do. I don't like silence at all. I guess one of the areas that I would question or have a concern on is how much time are you going to spend on the phone or with an email saying, no, I'm sorry, we don't do that anymore. Yeah. It depends on that end of things as to how much stuff is actually out there. Yeah. So that would be my big concern, is how much time on that rebrand is needed to convince other people that, no, I don't do that, I do this. Yeah, so she says it could actually. So what I would say, Katie, is there is actually an SEO boost when you have a domain for a long time, right? Like we've tested that. We've figured it out. The longer the age and whether Google approves it or doesn't approve it, we've tested and we've seen it, right? Yep. The other part is, and she came back and she said it would be a new email and a phone number. Okay. If the company name is the same, you can for sure rebrand the entire thing. You can do different colors, you can do different services, you can do all that different stuff, as long as it's within the same industry. The other part too is if you opt to rebrand entirely and do a different domain, what you could do is take the old domain and just redirect it into an internal page. And if you're offering the same similar service, you would drop them into that specific page that talks about the service that previous company did. Does that make sense? I think I know where you're going. And I think the company that you're talking about, I'm not going to say it out loud on the video. However, I think that there is a way for you to mesh the two and still be able to keep the age of the previous domain. Right. You would just perform a redirect, essentially. And the other advantage being, and this is why a lot of people will buy LLCs from other places, is the advantage of saying in business for 20 plus years, even though the angle of what they're doing now is completely different than what it used to be. So I actually assisted with a sale with a friend of mine, and that was one of the key things that they purchased was that LLC, just so they could say it's been in business for the last 35 years? Yeah. 37 years? Yeah. Something like that. So that's another angle to look at. And again, using those old domains, it's already got a bunch of links out there that's going to help your SEO right from the get-go. You may have to do some tweaking just to get them to point into certain areas, but it's a good starting platform. Yeah, and there could be some cleanup needed too, depending on the links. But she said like forwarding. So can you explain what a 301 redirect is real quick? Yeah. So 301 redirect or forwarding one domain to another or one page to another. It's just like telling the post office that I used to live here, but I now live over here. Yeah. Okay. Or I'll get the hands in the center. There we go. He's showing off his new wedding ring, by the way. I did. Kim got me a new ring. Yeah. So, anyways, back to forwarding. So there's a section of code. It's called a 301 redirect. And it's a status code. 301 means to forward. 404 means error page. Yeah. You've probably seen 404 pages. Get those fixed. Yes. And 200 just means success. Yeah. So most pages return with a 200, but a 301 is a permanent redirect from one location to another. Right. And it's what Google uses just to redirect the user around the website. Perfect. And one final question here. She said, can you forward a .net to a .org? Yes, definitely. Yeah, you can forward any domain extension and you can forward any page. So if it used to be a .html page and it's now a .php, that's perfectly fine. You can redirect those. But yeah, you can forward everything. So that's not a concern. Yeah. As long as you have control of the domain, you can do anything you want.
And what I would say is on that domain for 20 years, just ensure that you actually renew it pretty consistent. Make sure it doesn't drop off so you can keep that age, the weight of the age, if that makes sense. And always, Katie, if you're looking to rebrand, we would love to be able to help you with the website design. We love you to bits and pieces, and hopefully we'll be able to see her sometime soon. It's been like a couple of years.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. All right, guys, I think that is it wrapping up. So really quickly, if you guys can with the DIY, just ensure that you determine your 3, 5, 15, right? Determine some form of action items that you can actually take and do them consistently with the DIY. It's one of the Achilles heels that happens quite often whenever people come to us and they want to do their marketing themselves. They just kind of take their foot off the gas pedal, and we want to ensure that you guys keep going and keep going the momentum. If you need specific guidance regarding your marketing, we do offer consulting hours, and we've got a couple different packages for all different sizes of businesses. So we can help you kind of like figure out where is your lane, stay in the lane, put blinders on, and hit the ground running, if that makes sense. We appreciate everybody that tuned in live. Thank you so much for the questions and the engagements, as well as everybody that's tuning in for the replay. If you have questions that pop up, feel free to go ahead and put them in the comments. We'll get some form of answer over your direction. Yep. And in the meantime, we will see you next Friday for our next weekly recap show. So see you then. Have a great weekend.
All right, guys.
Thanks.
Have a great day.